In Depth with the developers of MailMaven and Joe Kissell, Part 1. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by Surfshark. Visit surfshark.com/MacVoices or use code MacVoices at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is a 3-part interview with MailMaven, the developers of MailMaven, and Joe Kissell, who authored Take Control of MailMaven. We sat down with the developers for what was supposed to be just a normal MacVoices, and it turned into a protracted conversation about the importance of email and how it's such a personal thing, and I didn't want to skimp on any of this. Plus, we were having such a good time that the time just flew by. So this is part 1. We're going to have 2 more parts. I hope you enjoy them all. I hope you'll watch them all because MailMaven is an incredible new email program that can address a lot of the issues that you may be having, probably are having, with your email program. So here we go. Folks, we have a really fun interview for you today because not only do we have an author here, but we also have people that have developed the program that he wrote about. First of all, you all know Joe Kissell. Joe, it's great to have you.
Nice to be here. Hi, everyone.
The book is Take Control of MailMaven, and so we have from MailMaven, Beth Wall. Beth, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Good to be here.
Scott Morrison, also of MailMaven. Scott, it's great to see you.
It's good to see you too, Chuck.
And just to make things fun and confusing, we have a second Scott, Scott Little, also of MailMaven. Scott, it's great to have you.
Thank you for having us.
Sorry, Scott, didn't mean to cut you off. I think the problem is that I've got the wrong name. It should be Scott also.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Just change that on the tag there, Beth. So let's start out by just saying that, again, Joe has authored Take Control of MailMaven. And Joe, anything you want to say specifically about the book before we get into the program itself?
Well, you know, in most of our books, we are saying, hey, you already know about some app or some product or some problem, and here's all about that. Here's how to solve the problem or use the app or whatever. This one is a little bit different because most people have not yet heard of MailMaven. And so we are not only saying, and here's everything you need to know about this really cool app, but also, hey, have you heard of this really cool app? So I have been working with Scott and Beth for years. And I've been pitching in a little bit of little help on the design and writing their main documentation. But it was always part of the plan that there would be the documentation that comes with the app, and then there would be a separate book because, boy, oh boy, is there a lot to say about this app. So we'll get to the book later on, but mostly I want for Scott and Beth to tell you all about my new favorite email app, MailMaven.
Okay, thank you, Joe. That's a great introduction because, first of all, I know that you are fairly passionate about email programs.
You might say that.
But the other part is that email programs are very, very personal, but they're also, I think, very sticky because they're so personal that once you figure out a mail program you like, it's hard to pry you away from it because you learn the ins and outs, you organize things the way you want them, or at least as much as you can. And so trying something out becomes there's a bit of a barrier there. Beth, I think they unofficially elected you as a spokesperson here, but I'll throw it out to the group. Tell us basically about MailMaven, where it came from, why it came into being, and what are some of the first things we should know about it?
MailMaven is an email client for power users, people who have a lot of mail and need to be able to manage it and want to manage it themselves and be in control of managing their emails. We started off as a plugin for Apple Mail, where we added keywords, various metadata, such as due dates and projects and alternate subjects, and also a really strong processing system that allowed us to use rules to manage our messages, and also to have customization of signatures and some templates. And when Apple discontinued Mail plugins, it was the end of our product. And we got a huge outcry from users going, but I can't use Mail without these extras. What are you going to do about it? And that started us on we probably should have done this 10 years ago, but now we have to, building our own email client that had the functionality of our plugins incorporated into a full-fledged email client. Anybody else want to add to that?
I think I was just going to say that, but yeah, because I mean, we've been working at various levels on these plugins, Scott and I separately, and then started working together for the past 15 years. So it's this whole idea of emails and customizing the feature set that comes with your client is something that we have been, I guess, passionate about for a long time.
Yeah, just want to bring up is people might have used or heard of our plugins. We the plugin originally plugins called MailTags, Mail.app, SigPro, and Mail Perspectives, and then a number of years ago we merged them all together to a single product called MailSuite. And this was, we've been working in the background on what was MailMaven. We started actually pretty close to 16 years ago, just kind of dabbling around on things. And then, it's about 3-4 years ago, things started to get serious because kind of Apple gave us a notification that what we were doing was going to be discontinued. How we were extending Mail in that way to add the functionality of Mail.app, SigPro, etc., was going to go away and replaced by something that was much more limited. And so that's where, in the last 3 years, we really stepped up. And in the last 2 years, it was like, okay, we no longer have a product on the market. We have to work towards getting MailMaven release. And as you know, with any software product, the first 90% of the job takes the first 90% of the time, and the remaining 10% takes the other 90% of the time. But here we are.
Definitely the case here.
So it's a really interesting approach, and I'm not a software developer, but the idea of taking a core set of features that you were inserting into someone else's program and using that as the basis for a whole program of your very own is I think, kind of unusual. And so, but on the other hand, I know how many people have screamed like they were being tortured that MailTags was going away, and the products you mentioned, Scott. So it's a great idea. So, yeah. But it has taken a while for you to get this out and be ready to release it. So is that a reflection of all the features that you were trying to build in on top of the ones you knew you already wanted?
That's a reflection of partly of the features, but partly of we had built our plugins to sit on top of a foundation called Apple Mail. And that foundation was no longer there. So we actually had to build the foundation. So it's like when you're building a house and you start with the windows and you build down to the basement, as opposed to start with the basement and build up to the windows. It's in fact, what we had for the longest time is we had designed our code so that it was actually what was working in the Mail plugins was exactly the same code that what we were working with in MailMaven at that basic level. We had, architecture it so that was pretty modular. But there was.
And we spent the last 2 or 3 years of the work we were doing with Mail plugins. We were doing this work that Scott's talking about here, of creating an architecture that can be shared. So that helped out a lot.
Yeah. But is making a Mail client is not daunting because there's a lot there, and people have a lot of expectations.
Did you say it's not daunting?
Or is daunting, I guess.
It's
Yes,
absolutely daunting.
I thought that was supposed to be ironic, and you were going to go somewhere with it.
I can't word very well. It's not for the faint of heart. Yes, that's it. It's people have expectations, and when people bring a new product to market, they talk about a minimal viable product, and usually is a minimal viable product is a little bit more than a proof of concept, but it's something that introduces a product to people to say, hey, I get this, I understand, I can use this. But mail client, the minimal viable product has to be very, very full feature, because people simply won't look at something that just downloads emails and that's it. So there's a lot of work that had to go into making sure that people that were used to either Apple Mail or maybe Thunderbird or Outlook could take a look at what MailMaven is and says, yes, I can continue to do my work with this product and then some.
Yeah.
So yeah, is what we had to put together and deliver as a 0.1 product is what other companies and other products might be. Oh, well, that's a 0.3 or a version 3 product. That's well beyond what you would first introduce.
Yeah, nobody's going to change their email client if the features aren't there. And so the features have to be there right from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
So that takes me to the sort of the toughest question I think I'll probably ask you all today is, why should I give up or consider giving up my current mail client, unless I just absolutely hate it, and try MailMaven?
Well, that is a tough question. And for most people, I imagine that, it depends on, as Beth said, our feature set is really complete and has a lot of functionality to it. And it really helps you manage your mail by using the metadata and by using the processing features, which Joe might be able to expand on because he really loves those. And the use those to help you manage if you have a large quantity of mail or messages, and it just gives you a better way of just being able to organize it and create a system that works for you. There have been a lot of new mail clients that have come out in the past 10 years that maybe didn't survive or sort of survived and are still there, but are not doing so well. But a lot of them had a really opinionated ideas about how they thought you should do your mail, which, might work for some people, especially if you want it very simplistic and stuff like that. But one of the things that we really tried to emphasize was you being able to customize not just how you do stuff, but what you see and everything like that, to be the way you want it, not the way we want you to have it. So that's probably the biggest advantage of our product.
I like that, because, at the end of the day, it's all about me, the user, as opposed to just what you said, Scott, that this is, you're letting me adapt your product to my way of thinking instead of me having to adopt my way of thinking to your product.
Yes. And there's also, oh, sorry, Beth.
I was going to say,
yeah.
Go ahead, Scott.
Okay, that's the problem when you got 5 people.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of, we have a few features that are definitely, we can say, only in MailMaven can you, only in MailMaven can you actually add metadata to your messages that is really meaningful, such as I can add a note to a message after I receive it, as opposed to just a label or a keyword. Or I can add a date to a message to say when I need to look at this message again. And that date is there so that I can say, hey, here's the messages I had to review this week. I can add an importance to the email that is your importance, not the sender's importance. So there's that whole management scheme. There's also the notion is only in Maven can you do things like, hey, I have rules for inbox messages coming in, and a lot of email clients have that. But maybe you have rules for messages that you send out, to how to organize the messages that you send to other people automatically, or rules which you can apply on demand. So it's not once it's hit the inbox, is I can just hit a keystroke and do 10 different things, or with 10 different messages with one keystroke. And it's like everything goes to where it needs to because I've looked at it and I've processed it, rather than having the system process it for me and tell me the results. But the other thing about email clients is there's a lot of feel to it. And it's one of those things where, yeah, they all do the same kind of basic thing, but things work slightly differently, and there's a feel to the client that is hard to describe, but there's a certain fluidity. And I think, Joe, you might want to reflect on that a little bit. And Beth, you had something to add as well.
Well, I
No,
think we
please.
passed what I was going to say.
No, please,
Okay.
Beth. If you have something, yeah, because you see it a little bit differently, just because you're a different kind of user.
I was going to say, we try to give the customer the most control, but we do have a certain level of opinion about email, and there are certain things that we're pretty strict on and stuck in the mud with a bit, I guess, maybe. Because we think it works better that way, and we hope that people will take that step with us. And but we're always open to our customer support. You have a feature you want to see, let us know. We have a list. If you put all of our arms together, we still wouldn't get to the end of our feature list of things we want to get done over the next years.
Yep.
Beth,
Yeah,
I can't let that.
I've added, that much to the list myself.
Oh, Joe, at least that much.
Yeah, my camera doesn't go that wide.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, like as all of you were talking, I'm thinking, well, no, number one, I was one of those people who was using MailSuite, and that was honestly the only thing that made Apple Mail bearable for me. Keep in mind, I wrote the book, Take Control of Apple Mail, and that wasn't even my first book or my second book about Apple Mail. So I've been a heavy Apple Mail user for a long time. Take Control of Apple Mail is now in 6th edition. And over the years, Apple has they've added some features, but also they've taken away a lot of features. Mm-hmm. And Mail got to the point where I simply could not use it. It was too frustrating to me to use it without the MailSuite plugin. Mm-hmm. So when Apple killed support for plugins, I'm like, how am I supposed to do email now? That's like all the things I need to do, they just don't work anymore. And I was very, I'm sure a lot of people were in that same boat. I was lucky because I knew these guys and they're like, we're going to send you an early alpha of something. And I'm like, oh, now I can yes, it's early and it's rough at that point, but I can actually do my stuff again. So I've had an advantage over everyone for all these years. So for me personally, and again, speaking as a longtime Apple Mail power user, I was only a power user thanks to this plugin. So if it had not been for MailSuite, I would have gone in a completely different direction and used something else for email. So for me, it was a matter of not what would induce me to leave my beloved email client and go to something else. For me, it was a matter of finally I can get my stuff done. Now, not everyone's going to be in that situation. Some people are light email users, or some people are perfectly content with whatever they're using for email right now, whether they're using, Gmail on the web, or they're using Thunderbird or Outlook or any of, a dozen other things. And that's fine. then you're not a SmallCubed customer. SmallCubed, by the way, the name of the company that makes MailMaven.
Yeah.
So if you're happy with your email setup, then go on your merry way. Stop listening to us. This isn't for you. This is for power users. This is for the sort of person who loved Eudora back in the day. Now, I'm not saying that MailMaven looks or acts like Eudora, but I'm saying it is for that same type of person where you just need to be able to control everything. And I am, I run Take Control books, and I am a control freak. So of course I want to control everything. And yeah, as you're looking through MailMaven, you have all these pages and pages and pages of settings. And I know that some people really love that and some people really hate that. And I'm sorry that I'm responsible for saying, yeah, but if could we also change this thing? And what about, is there a way to adjust that? And they're like, fine, we'll add another checkbox, So sorry, not sorry, but like, that's how I look at email is I want it to do what I want it to do, not as Scott Little said, what some algorithm or some AI determined that it thinks I want to do. No. I want to be able to say, email app, when I press this button, do these 10 things and do them the way I set them up to be done. So that's what I can do in MailMaven is I've made my rules, my setup, my whole thing, and then it literally is, hey, we're going to press, whatever it is, Command D or Control D or something. And when I press that keystroke, well, it's going to look at all the messages that I have selected, and it's going to say, oh, well, what's the sender of this message? What's the subject? What's in this? And based on all of those characteristics, do whatever I've told it to do. It's going to file something somewhere. It's going to send an automatic reply. It's going to do other magic stuff. So if you, and besides writing about mail, I've also written about automating your Mac quite a bit. So, if you are the sort of person who loves being able to do that, that would be an inducement to switch.
Today's MacVoices is supported by Surfshark. I'm in my hotel room on hotel Wi-Fi, trying to get work done. Not exactly speedy and definitely not safe, no matter which hotel chain you're staying in. Except for the lumpy mattress, I can rest easy. I've got Surfshark VPN. Hotel Wi-Fi is one of the easiest places for hackers to snoop on your connection. They can see your emails, logins, even your credit card details. But with Surfshark running, everything I do online is encrypted and hidden. I can check email, shop, stream, even manage work files without worrying about who else is connected to the network. And Surfshark is a no-logs VPN, so there's no record of what I've been up to. I like that a lot. Surfshark also lets me access my favorite sites and streaming services from anywhere in the world, so I can catch up on my favorite shows, not whatever happens to be available where I'm staying. And it works on every device. Laptop, tablet, phone, all under one account. So sure, the mattress might be questionable, but my internet security isn't. Go to surfshark.com/MacVoices or use the code MacVoices at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN absolutely free. With the 30-day money-back guarantee, you can be sure Surfshark is for you. Unlike my hotel room. That's surfshark.com/MacVoices. Because even when the Wi-Fi is free, your data shouldn't be. Thanks to Surfshark for supporting MacVoices. I have to admit, when Scott was listing some of the things that you can do with it, I was ready to cut the interview short and go and say, I need to go try this right this second, because there are things there that really resonated with me. But I want to flip this on its head just a little bit. And Beth, I'm going to look to you for an answer to this for 2 reasons. First of all, I do want you to go into this stuck in the mud thing just a little bit for the things that you think really should work that way. But before you do that, is this, contrary to what Joe just suggested about power users, is this something that I can hand to someone and say, start using it, and then let them build up their skill set a little bit as they get familiar with it? Because I'm not going to call any names, but there's some software out there that has a learning curve just to launch the darn app. is you have to spend time before you can do anything with it. Can MailMaven be used by someone who maybe doesn't want to be intimidated but would like to have all those options at a later date?
Absolutely. We've tried very hard to make the onboarding process pretty fluid if you're coming from mail, which we think most of our customers will be. And it will just bring in your messages and bring in your accounts and let you set those up. And then you don't have to do anything. If you don't want to use rules, it is a solid email client. It will receive your emails. It will let you send emails. You don't have to do anything. If you want to explore, one of the things I'm really happy about with Maven that we fell down with MailSuite is that we have documentation. We have excellent documentation on our site, and we have Joe's Take Control book. And even after 15 years, we didn't have great documentation for MailSuite. So there are these books you can use to get to know it, but you don't have to do any of that to start off with. And then you could say, oh, I can make a rule. And you could start with one rule. You could start with inbox rules. If you're used to mail, you probably already have inbox rules. You could copy those into MailMaven. You can't import them. You have to create them in MailMaven, but you could do it. So you don't have to start up at the very high. I press one button, it does 10 things and processes my whole inbox for me. You can take it step by step, definitely.
Okay. But so again, the second part is the stuck in the mud thing, that there are places you think this is the way it should work. Can you give me some examples of those? Because I'm very interested with someone who has spent so much time in email programs and modifying Apple's mail. What do you think should work a certain way that you just feel is not to be compromised or not to be messed with?
Well, I'm going to use a really simple one. In mail, if you want to move a message, you right mouse click and it says move message to mailbox. And then it fans out this menu that could go right across your whole page. And you're trying to scroll from one menu over to the next menu, over to the next menu to get to your three menus down mailbox. And in the meantime, it stops. Oops, I've got to start over again. And we've decided that moving messages should just be, move this message. I'll start typing the name of the mailbox. Here's your list of choices. Pick one of them. And that's it. You don't have to try and scroll across everywhere. And
you can't even do it that way.
You can't even do it that way.
Yeah.
We have not put in an expanded menu item anywhere, and probably never will. Just because they become unruly and they spread over your whole page and they're hard to use. So, what else? We try very hard to have keyboard shortcuts for everything so that if you don't want to take your fingers off your keyboard, you don't have to. And there are places where we've missed, and let us know. If you see somewhere we've missed, let us know. You shouldn't have to use a mouse or a trackpad. And we're pretty strong right back to Mail.app on that one. That what else are we pretty strong about, guys?
Well, I mean, I often sort of joke about MailMaven is the email client that thinks email clients should look like email clients. And it's in the sense that is your email is we take the take of your email is the standard mailbox, messages, message display, conversations, and organizations, and your email is not a to-do list, and it's not a various other email apps have taken a different take. Is let's redefine what email is, and we're working on the notion of, well, email is what it is. We're not going to try to redefine it. We're going to try to provide people with the tools to work with it better. And a lot of email clients take the approach of let's simplify things so much that they don't have the ability to do what they want anymore. They have to follow the rules of the client. We have, some basic sort of rules of the client, but it's more designed to, if you want to be able to do that, then let's figure out a way of doing that and doing that efficiently and doing that fluidly. I mean, Beth talks about, she mentioned about moving messages to mailboxes, but that's one way of moving a message. The other way of moving a message, of course, is to drag and drop, and is another way is to create a rule to say that, hey, these messages go to these mailboxes if they meet these criteria. If they meet other criteria, they go to those mailboxes. There's also, you can define a list of quick key mailboxes. So like, numbers 1 through 10 is these are the mailboxes I use all the time. Boom. Is that so? There's multiple ways of doing the same thing, and that kind of flexibility, as opposed to saying, here's the way we do it, and you're going to have to adjust whatever you do to fit our way of doing it. Is we want to provide multiple ways of doing multiple things, and try to do it in a way that is easy for people to remember, and access, and so other opinions that we have is I think this is we're of the age that is you should be the person processing your email, not some data center in some massive complex in the middle of nowhere that is using AI to process your email. And we're very much of that approach. It comes in your inbox, and you're the person that triages it, and you're the person that gets to make the decisions about why this is important and how it gets categorized and how it gets responded to.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Joe,
we'll try and make it. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I think Joe is very much at the same thought as that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so let's tackle some specific things. One of which is near and dear to everyone's heart, and that's spam. Do you provide? Yeah, sorry, Joe. Joe was in pain for a minute. Do you provide spam filtering? Do you suggest the use of an outside service or a host spam filtering? What is your approach to that?
MailMaven has built-in integration with SpamSieve. So if you already have SpamSieve on your machine, you can integrate MailMaven straight away. If not, you can use you can get SpamSieve and just integrate it into MailMaven. And you can always use rules to manage your spam.
Yep. With SpamSieve is we made the decision of SpamSieve is an excellent product by Michael Tsai. And we made the decision is we probably could not do this better than what Michael Tsai does. And moreover, we also recognize that many of our customers are going to be coming from mail, and we are addressing our customers who are providing a course of a path of what is your next mail client now that the MailSuite doesn't work. And realize that many of our customers already have licenses for SpamSieve, so that they can just say, hey, I'll just use SpamSieve. And Michael Tsai has been great by making sure that SpamSieve has documentation about how to integrate with MailMaven, and uses the same codex that if you have been using Mail for years and you have built up your library of what is spam and what is not spam, you do not have to start fresh again with MailMaven. That just ports right over, right into MailMaven, and you use the same rules and the same library of what's spam and not spam as you did with Mail. It makes it very simple.
Great.
I would just
go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
I would just like to add, I recommend. I have recommended kind of forever. Like I use SpamSieve. I love SpamSieve. I have used it for decades. It's great. The one thing SpamSieve doesn't help you with is email. Spam coming in and like, oh well, I'm not at my Mac right now. I'm checking my email on my phone or whatever, and a Mac-based email client is not going to immediately help you filter out the spam on your phone or iPad. And unfortunately, there is no architecture on iPhones and iPads to offer plugins or extensions that do that particular thing. So I have recommended to everyone for a long time, however good SpamSieve may be, it's not a bad idea to also use any server-based spam filtering that your email provider offers. Gmail has its own spam filtering. I use EasyMail from EasyDNS. They have their own spam filtering, and most other providers do too. So I find that my the email filtering that's built into this mail server that I use is pretty good, and that keeps most of the spam off my iPhone. Whereas SpamSieve catches anything that filter misses. So it is, it might be like once a week or something that an actual spam message makes it through to my inbox after all that stuff. So, but I but I will say, if you regard Apple Mail's built-in spam filtering as the gold standard, then boy, you are lucky, because somehow you have managed to evade getting on a million email lists, and that's rare. Mail's built-in filter just isn't very good. So, and that's really true of most email clients that have their own built-in filter. So I think using SpamSieve on your Mac is 100% the way to go. And I just also recommend supplementing that with whatever your mail server offers.
I just will add on that for SpamSieve that SpamSieve doesn't run on your iOS apps. But if you are running your Mac in the background and have your Mac running all the time, it still processes your spam. And if your spam is taken out by SpamSieve, you will still see it taken out on your iOS devices.
Yes.
So it does have some carryover into iOS.
Sure.
That's a real good point.
A lot of our customers also use services like SaneBox or subscribed spam filtering.
Yeah.
The other thing that SpamSieve does do for people who are on iOS is that Microsoft has set up so that it will watch certain folders, and that you can use that folder on your iOS device to move a message to a folder to train. This is spam, this is not spam. So that when you get a message and you can move it, hey, to this, then SpamSieve will say, hey, yeah, I know that's spam, that can be pulled out and learnt, and you can train the system that way.
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.